St. Ignatius Parish celebrates the feast day of its patron saint, commemorating and honoring his exemplary life of holiness. Traditionally, the faithful prays a novena at the parish every night at 6:30 p.m. leading up to the feast day, July 31st. On the feast day, not only do parishioners of St. Ignatius Parish join in to celebrate, but also Catholics of different local parishes in Belize City, indicating how significant this day is to many.
We started the novena yesterday, and we finished the 30th. And the 31st, Bishop will come to celebrate the Mass at 6:30 in the afternoon. So we'll have this celebration as we did before, and I hope that the people enjoyed the way we are doing that.
But who was Ignatius of Loyola?
Okay, so St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, a lot of people don't know this, but he really struggled with what we would call today mental illness. He had his whole life collapsed. You know, he had these dreams for himself that he was going to be basically a knight. He was a member of a Spanish minor nobility, so his family, they were nobles. And he had these dreams that he was going to kind of be a great gallant knight, winning battles, winning women, and this was sort of his dream. But then he was fighting in a war that he shouldn't have been, making very foolish military decisions, and he got his leg blown off by a cannonball, and he had to have a long convalescence. And during that time, he went into the depths of despair, really. And finally, he started making this pilgrimage. He grew his fingernails out long. He had suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation. So he really was just kind of going through this terrible, terrible experience of feeling just completely unloved, completely lonely, like his life had been turned upside down. And it was over months and months of prayer and kind of learning to listen to the Word of God that he finally was able to get his life back on track. And ultimately he became a real man of God who founded the Jesuits, the religious order. But it took a long time. He's a great model for us. We have to learn to be patient with God and with ourselves. Those conversions can take a lot of darkness. Sometimes we're in the darkness for months, years before we finally start to see the light. He's a great saint. Ultimately, that struggle bore a lot of fruit. He founded the Jesuit order, which quickly became the largest religious order in the world. He wrote this thing called the Spiritual Exercises, which is a retreat that we are still very much using today. In fact, a lot of people in Belize have gone on this retreat. Every Jesuit goes on it once a year, and we do the full 30-day silent retreat version of it when we first start our Jesuit training. So what Ignatius did was he went through this long, difficult conversion experience, and he wanted other people to have a similar experience. Maybe not quite as torturous as he went through, but so he wrote this retreat out based on his own experience. It's called the Spiritual Exercises. And it's a way of helping a person to reorient their life toward God and to realize that they're loved by God. So out of this great despair and challenge in his life, a lot of fruit was born. And in other ways, too, he was at a time when the church was in a lot of difficulty. It was the time of the Reformation, and the church had a lot of problems, kind of like we do now. And so his order, the Jesuits, became real reformers. Education. We're standing here on the campus of St. John's College, which is one of hundreds and hundreds of Jesuit education institutions throughout the world. The Jesuits were really the first people to start universal education at the high school level. Before that, Europe didn't have schools, and the rest of the world didn't have schools. You only got to go to school if you were studying to be a priest, was kind of how it worked. So the Jesuits were the first people to bring education all over the place, including eventually to Belize. So you just think about Ignatius. I mean, his life was almost over. There were moments when he thought, this is done, I can't go on. But he kept going on by the grace of God, and now the world is forever changed because of that.
And we, the faithful, continue to benefit from the great legacy of St. Ignatius of Loyola. That legacy will be celebrated on July 31st at St. Ignatius Parish at 6:30 p.m.
Bishop Lawrence Nicasio will be the celebrant of the special Mass offered on the Solemnity of St. Ignatius of Loyola. All are invited.